What's your advice, mate, for people out there that are sitting on the fence, maybe hesitating to start their own business or give it a crack themselves?
Be prepared for a lot of hard work. You need discipline, you need a lot of discipline. It doesn't matter what's happening, you've still got to get your foot out of that bed, get up and keep going. And then when you turn up, you've got to be the leader, you've got to be happy. Doesn't matter what's going on in your life, it's about everybody else.
G'day guys, welcome back to another episode of Level Up. We are ready for another cracking episode this afternoon. Look, if you haven't heard, we are putting on the greatest event the construction industry has ever seen in Australia. It's on the 30th of May this year. We have got international guests coming such as Paula Baker-Laporte and Matt Risinger, the two biggest names in the building industry when it comes to building science and building healthy homes, as well as a whole other list of top quality world-class speakers. But we also have over 60 of Australia's biggest and best brands coming to have part of a trade show. And something I really wanted to do was get things at this event that just set it apart from all the other events that you see our industry having. And so I wanted to bring things that tradies and builders need. And that includes things like the vehicles we drive. So one of our major sponsors that has come on board is the guys from Offroad Creative. And we're lucky enough to have Brad, the man behind Offroad Creative, here with us today. How are you, mate?
Yeah, good, thanks. How you doing?
Excellent. Really appreciate you getting behind the event and becoming one of our major sponsors. And I think for people that come to the event to see your vehicles, because like I know you guys are just always innovating and coming up with solutions, and I know that tradies will get a lot out of seeing your vehicles and the canopies and the systems you have. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what you're going to bring, mate.
Yeah, well, we all know tradies love a good rig, so yeah.
Mate, I want to go back a little bit before we get into Offroad Creative and all that sort of thing, because you actually are a tradie.
Yep.
So can you tell us a little bit about your backstory, like I guess right back from schooling? Like, were you one of these guys that didn't really fit in at school and just wanted to get out and get your hands dirty?
No, I was probably one of those guys that the teachers didn't really like, a lot of unfocused potential, I suppose. So, you know, a lot of board sports, skating, surfing and stuff that during school. So I just sort of cruised through school. I was really interested in back then it was technical drafting, I suppose, graphics on the old T-squares and with the pens and stuff like that. Right back then. So I was really interested in that when I was going through school. And then when I finished school, I started working on AutoCAD. I'd done some AutoCAD in school for a house building company. And then after a few months, they caught me sleeping in the office a few too many times. So, so an opportunity came up.
You're up too early going for a surf, mate. And then
just I guess a little bit of boredom setting in there, and so an opportunity came up for a plumbing apprenticeship with those guys. So yeah, I jumped at that and started doing that with cottage work, things like that. And then after a period of 6 months, they've sort of folded. I've got a job at the plumbing supply shop down the road, and then one of the bigger companies that was coming through there sort of grabbed me, and jumped on board with those guys for a couple of years. And then after that, sort of as I was living out of home, living with the boys, I'd have to go in and do labouring for a little while to, bank up a bit more coin, and then jump on with another company, knock off a bit more of my apprenticeship, and, life and circumstances and everything else happened. So, I ended up 10 years, kept chipping away at it, and eventually got my trade done.
So from when you started your apprenticeship to when you finished, you just did you do it with different companies? Like you went back and just worked wherever you could? Yeah,
different companies. So I might go, pick up a job labouring on a high rise with the Gyp Rockers or something like that. So, I'd do that for 6 months, and that was a lot better money than, the $12 an hour I think I was getting, as a second or third year apprentice way back then. I'd do that for a while, bank up a bit of money, and then, hit up the plumbers on site at one of the jobs and say, hey, let's knock off a bit of time and I'll dig some holes for you. And so I guess over that 10 years, took a while, and I was definitely committed to becoming a tradesman That was the big thing. I definitely wanted my trade certificate. But I guess doing it that way probably worked out pretty well because I got a big range of skills and, you know, environments. It wasn't just, you know, all new house cottage work for my whole apprenticeship. It was shopping centres, it was high rises, drainage, gas fitting, the whole works. So it was actually a really good way to do it. Wouldn't recommend it, but in the end,
Well, you committed, mate, because that
skills,
like doing an apprenticeship over that time, like obviously meant a lot to you to actually finish it, complete it, and get the trade ticket behind
definitely.
you. Did you once you got it, did you use it? Did you go and work as a plumber or?
Yeah, I did a little bit, and then, you know, a lot younger and stuff like that. When I was sort of kicking off, I'd just be hanging out at the local Reese plumbing supplies, and, you know, someone would come in and want a hot water system done, and, you know, want a sink done, and then, you know, other trades would come in, and so I actually picked up a lot of work just kicking out there, but I didn't know a lot about business back then, and so
it's a common story in the not just in the building industry. I'm sure it's the same in the industry you're in now. Like we all have a passion for something, but the business side of thing is generally what slows us down or takes the passion away.
Yep, absolutely. So, you know, while you're quoting the work, you're not doing the work. And then when you're doing the work, you're always looking for the next job, because what are you going to do after that? And then there's, you know, invoices, tax, all that other sort of stuff that when you're, you know, mid-20s and haven't really thought about that type of thing, it all comes on pretty quickly. So I worked contracting for a couple other plumbing companies as well while I was doing that too.
Yeah, unreal. So where did the change take place? Like what got you into the industry you're in now?
Actually, I'd hurt my wrist too many times, you know, doing board sports and stuff like that. So I'd put off getting an operation on my wrist for a long time. Financially, it just didn't make sense to sit at home for 6 months because you couldn't use your hands. So while I was off, I actually went to TAFE, started doing some engineering, and then I did that for full time for about maybe 8 months, and then started getting some part-time work with a mate's work. That was at a aluminium tipper manufacturing facility.
So like tippers for body trucks and tip trucks and
things. Big aluminium tippers and things like that. And they knew I was sort of, you know, had a couple of brain cells between my ears, and and I had a little bit of experience on the design side of things. I was definitely keen to get into it. So they sort of put me through the different areas of the factory over a period of time, and then moved me into the office, and that's where I started getting my first getting my hands into proper design on 3D programs.
Yeah. That's awesome, mate. And then, like, when did you take the punt to, like, go out on your own or try your own thing?
I think I was working for a few different companies for a couple of years at a time, and then I started working for a global mining company in the city. At the time when I started, there was 32 designers there, and I worked my way up to top level designer running teams.
So what was that designing? Like bodies for mine trucks and stuff?
We'd do some of our coal export facilities that we have up the coast. We'd be doing, you know, studies on expanding stockyards, things like that. I was designing big bucket wheel reclaimers, big ship loaders. When the 2011 floods came through, we got contracted to redesign the ferry terminals because they all got washed away. So I was part of a big team in there, and we won a design award for those ones.
Jeez, mate, you've got some experience.
Yeah, I've been around a bit. Yeah.
Well, it definitely shows in the products that you're developing now. But like what? But what was the point when you got to that you took the punt to go and have a crack, or were you designing? I assume someone like yourself would have been tinkering behind the scenes, like
after the coal prices went up. I think they had like over 30 designers, and I think I was one of the very few left that got made redundant. Design work was a little bit few and far between. and then I went to work for a camper trailer manufacturer and started designing for those guys. And because I was always camping my whole life and always full driving and doing that sort of thing, so it was right up my alley. It certainly didn't pay as well as the mining industry, but you do what you do for your passion. So so I worked with those guys for 5 years, and by the time we left there, I had a 2-year-old boy, and I was sort of sitting there with the wife one night and said, well, I feel like I can do more. I feel like I'm just cruising at the moment and I can push myself more. And if we take a punt and if we knuckle down for 4 years, 5 years, we can really set those guys up, the kids. So that's what we did.
Yeah.
So over the next couple of months, we basically sold the camper trailer and what we had, and rented a shed, opened the door, and said, "What are we going to build?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've actually followed you for a long time, mate, and I think I saw a heap of the stuff when you very first started. I think you were mucking around with some bars and stuff, and then I think, and the one that I think got me over to following what you were doing, and I could see you just started out, was the guys at Ransom.
Michael Ransom, Ransom Constructions,
Yeah. So is that that was one of the first full-on builds that you did, wasn't it?
Yeah. Very lucky that he knocked on our door. I'd known him through the Hilux community. We'd been on a few sort of camping trips, big group camping trips, and I knew him through there. And he'd gotten a Ram and he was planning touring with his family. And so I was very lucky that he knocked on our door and said, "Hey, I want something custom. What I want, no one's going to do it for me. Can you do it?" And I said, "Yeah, let's go for it."
So guys, I guess if you haven't worked it out yet, the guys that created Offroad Creative basically build the best canopies, and you do trays.
Yeah, we do trays. We do basically anything that comes through the door. So.
But the best canopies, I think, on the market, not just in Australia, but probably globally. They are insane.
Yeah.
And you're always innovating. From what I've seen in so how long's Offroad Creative actually been going?
We're just coming on 4.5 years now.
Yeah, and so in 4.5 years, you've gone from renting a reasonably small shed. And
that was a couple of 100 metres.
And doing everything on your own.
Yep.
To what are you in now? How many square metres is the shed?
We have 3,000 square metres of factory space.
And over 45 employees.
Yeah, counted it last night actually. I think there's about 47.
That's unbelievable, mate. You're I just think it's fantastic. You guys are just getting into it, and then you've hit the American truck market pretty hard. That's definitely ramping up in Australia.
Yep.
Yeah. You don't just do American truck here, do you?
We are specialising in that at the moment. We found with the work and everything that we put into our builds, it was about 1.5 years ago, we were getting a lot of inquiries, but we're a little bit sort of too high priced for the Australian domestic ute market. So we don't do it the easy way.
Yeah.
We do it the hard way, and there's a lot of components, a lot of work, and a lot of quality and care that goes into our builds. So we found we're a little bit sort of over-capitalising on those utes. So we did do a few. We've done probably 6 79s, a few 200s, a couple of Rangers.
I wouldn't say you do it the hard way. I'd say you do it the proper way.
Oh, yeah.
It's everything I've seen is just all quality.
Yeah.
I've got a couple of mates that have got your gear, and it's next level. There's no two ways about it. It is the best in the industry. And the thought that's gone into the layouts and the setups and just the ease of use blows my mind.
Thank you, I appreciate that. It's I guess when I'm sitting there designing them, one thing I didn't like about what was currently on the market was when you look at the truck, it just looks like this big box that's been plonked on the back of the truck. And then at the time when I started designing them, and then they'd thrown a fridge here, a set of drawers there was a pantry there. So even as you see it driving down the road, you could see welds coming through the exterior, you know, rear wall doors. You could see where it was welded. You could see it just wasn't suited to the vehicle at all. And then when you open the door, you could just see everybody's stuff. And when you wanted to make a coffee, you'd be pulling the coffee machine out, sticking it here, plugging it in. And then when you want to make a toaster, you'd be pulling that out, plugging it in as well. So I guess I wanted something that when you're spending the money on these trucks, you want it to look as good as it possibly can. So it's
like it come from the factory.
Yeah, pretty much. So, you know, I wanted to follow the body lines of the truck really nice. I wanted, you know, approach angles, all of the important stuff, a lot of, you know, a lot of storage space, functionality, etc. But then at the same time, when you open the door, that you just couldn't see all your stuff. It just looked messy for, you know, back then what was on the market. So I was just sort of designing. I'm like, well, you know, I want a coffee machine, I want a toaster, I want a soda stream, I want a microwave. Or
this is in the back of a four-wheel drive, so.
Yeah, well, we've done some crazy stuff in cars.
You've recently done one with bloody a set of kegs in it, haven't you?
Yeah, two beer kegs and a twin tap pourer on the front of the pantry. We've done another one. Marla designer Lockie, he designed up a mini bar, so it has your spirit bottles with hoses coming out, and then you just go to the side, push the button, and it pours your spirits out into your drinks. And
it's insane, mate.
And stuff like
so
that.
I want to go back a little bit on that, because like a lot of people listen to this podcast, and what you've done applies. Like there's a lot of people out there that are not quite happy with the job they have at the moment, or know they can do better, similar to your situation. But so many people don't take that step to trust themselves, believe in themselves, and I guess put it on the line. Like it takes a lot to sell up what you've got and put it all on the line and take that step to start a business. Like you mentioned briefly, a big driver was your family.
Yep.
What else was driving you? Was it that you wanted to do your own thing? You wanted to put your stamp on the industry?
What's the saying? You give up a job that's paying a wage working 9 to 5 so that you can start your own business and earn nothing and work 24/7. That's pretty true for the first couple of years. I don't know. I guess it's hard to say. I just felt like I could just do more. You know, I felt like I was just cruising through, and you know, at the end of it, we could have been reasonably comfortable, but you know, we weren't really, you know, the same old story. I didn't come from much, and I wanted more for my kids when I was finished. So I knew I had the skills to do it, and yeah, didn't really have much of a business idea or anything like that. But yeah, I spoke to a few people, and I guess when you've got some good designs in your head and you're laid out there, then you know the right people are going to notice and start from there. So
you're obviously a very creative person. Like I saw, like a lot of those posts I saw you do in the early days, mucking around with bars and things. And did you do something with was there something that folded out of a mud guard or a guard or something?
Yeah, it was. It's actually a design taken from Brad DeBerti in the US, where they did a F-truck where the sides of the tub swing up like gull wing doors, and then you've got a service body in behind that.
Yeah.
So we were contracted by another company to do a couple of those.
Yeah.
So we did them.
Oh, that's it. Well, I'm no expert, but that looked to me like a shitload of work.
Yeah. Yep. In that one, there was a lot of like old school fabrication. So, you know, you get a bit of plate and, you know, how are we going to make this work? Drill a hole here, weld a bit on there, you know, get it working. Oh, that's not quite right. Change it again. A lot of the stuff that I do, we design it on the CAD and it's 95% by the time it goes onto the truck. A little bit of tweaking, stuff like that, and then it's good to go. Where that one there, that job there was actually extremely difficult
Handmade.
to get that working, and yeah, not very practical for Australia and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, it was a thing. So
Well, you've obviously got, like, you're tried and tested now. Like, I don't personally know the Ransom guys, but like I follow them. I love their content. Like, I think they're probably one of the most real ones out there.
Yep.
Like, they're just doing it because they want to do it. Like, not to try and live up to anyone else's expectations, but like, they've definitely put that setup that you built through its paces over the last 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, that one was really cool. So we did an electric rooftop tent, which it's fabricated onto the top of the canopy. It was 3 meters long, so it overhang the cab, so that his wife and his kids could sleep in there when they're away from the van. We had electric actuators running down to the floor of the canopy, and then canvas around the outside. So you just push a button in the canopy, and then the roof of the rooftop tent would just lift up like that.
Yeah.
And then inside we had, custom sea deck in the roof, and it was all custom canvas, custom mattresses, custom everything on that. We did a few of those rooftop tents, but there was a very intensive, labour intensive wise.
Yeah.
So we ended up stopping those because, again, too, later on down the track, if you want to go to sell the vehicle or anything like that, someone might not want a rooftop tent on there and want to use it for something else. So
Yeah.
but yeah, that was one of the first things. The first one on Ransoms. He had a lot of great ideas and a lot of things that he wanted, and we did a lot of work together to try and fit it in. So 2 pull-out pantries. The original idea was to get his kids Pee-wee motorbikes on the driver's side as well, and he also wanted his tools so he could work on the road. He was planning a year-long trip. 4 years later, he still hasn't come back.
So is that how you work? Like, my main business is we build high-end custom homes and renovations, but is that how you sort of do it with your canopies? Like, does everyone get the opportunity to come in and, like, they're custom designed, or does it start with a basic sort of model and you build on it? Like, how does it actually work?
Yeah, we won't really change the outside of the canopy so much. We have a bunch of different options for, chainsaw holders, jack holders, jerry cans on the back and things like that. Obviously rooftop tents and all that sort of thing. But, we like our style that we have with the outside of the canopies, the structure. We know they're strong, we know they're light and they work. So we don't want to mess around too much with the outside. But interior wise, we do spend a lot of time with the customers. They have a lot of times great ideas about what they want to see in their canopy. So a lot of the time, everything that we were doing was new. I must have 50 different pantry configurations. Someone wanted an air fryer, a coffee machine, this particular size coffee machine, sandwich press on a drawer, all this, so that when you open it up, you pull this out, you cook your toaster, you close it again. It's all there, you just turn the inverter button on. Everything has a home. When you're packing up, it's really quick, it's really neat. Everything is functional and it just works. So over the years with learning what really works and what doesn't, our current design now for the passenger side, it just really works. So previously with 2 drawers on top of each other, with the height of these vehicles, difficult to see in that second drawer. And then you're left with a small width table, and then you've got this big, heavy pull-out pantry right at the rear of the truck. So I developed a new layout for the passenger side where it gives you a massive table, and we put induction cookers and sinks in that table. 2 drawers that are easily accessible, and then move to mini pantries. So we put 3-in-1 microwaves, or food pantries, full-size Breville espresso machines.
It's insane. Like, this is like, it's not really camping anymore, is it? Like, people are taking the whole kitchen with them.
Yeah. What we did find is, a lot of people, they go, I'm just not going to use all that kitchen stuff. Because we're going to be with the van most of the time. My kids are a little bit smaller and stuff, and we don't really intend on travelling away from the van and staying, days at a time away from the van, so I don't really need that kitchen stuff. But we do a lot of downselling. So, people come in with these grand ideas, and it's like, well, yeah, we can do that, but how much you're going to use it, is the juice worth the squeeze?
Yeah.
But one thing we did find was, you know, especially tradies and stuff like that, they're so used to getting up at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning that, you know, we say this is one consideration when you are looking at that kitchen side of your canopy. Do you get up earlier than everybody else, the kids and the missus? You can come outside, you can start breakfast, you can make your coffee, you can watch the sunset, you can potter around campsite, and they can still be sleeping inside and you're not waking them up, because the caravan is, everyone's on top of each other. So
Yeah.
you turn on the coffee machine, everybody's awake. So they're like, oh, I've never actually thought of that.
Yeah.
So it's about just talking with the customers and, you know, how do you want to use it? What do you see yourself doing? And have you thought of this? And, you know, you want this, we have this, which does what you're asking, but it's actually a little bit more functional than your idea. Is that something that you want to go with? And we found that this layout that we've got now nails about 80% of the builds that we do now.
Yeah. And you're doing, like, you do other stuff as well, don't you? Like your bars, like you're doing front bars for most vehicles now, eh?
Yeah, yeah. So we do front bars for all of the American trucks, and then we've just started getting into front bars for the domestic market as well.
So that's all, what, your Prados, Cruisers,
Yeah, it's
Rangers?
Hiluxes at the moment. We
Yeah.
sort of bought the IP of a company that a little bit burned out and wasn't able to keep up with what they were doing. So he's in as a consultant in that side of things.
Yeah.
So it's Hiluxes at the moment, and then we're going to expand the range throughout the rest of the domestic market as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because even your bars, like, they're one of the best looking bars on the market. Like everything else is so, I don't know, old fashioned, agricultural. I don't know what you want to call it, but
Yeah.
even your bars seem to just, they look like they've been there from factory.
Yeah, the bars were a good one to design, because over in the States, their bars are quite, you know, they're really small. You know, a lot of angles, a lot going on, and a lot of that, you know, 4 years ago was a little bit too much for the Australian market. But then what we had a lot of over here was a lot of old school, big triple hoop things, you know, that didn't look very good. So when I came in on our front bars, I wanted to try and tone down that American thing for this market, but also not make grandpa spec bars as well. So yeah, we came up with a pretty good, I suppose, hybrid of the two ideas there, and yeah, they've been going really good.
And do you do, like, I know you do the bars, the canopies and things, but is there any, in the future, are you going to like build trucks, or is you just going to leave that for other companies, or are you going to have a crack at doing the whole thing?
Yeah. So we're looking at, you know, doing turnkey builds, that sort of thing as well. We know our demographic quite well. You know, we do get a lot of tradies come through, but we also get a lot of developers and above company owners. So a lot of guys that, you know, have run a company for years, they've either sold or stepped right back from it, and just, you know, selling houses or whatever to buy the ultimate van, build the ultimate truck, and just take off. So they want it to look good, be functional, and just work. So yeah, that's what we can do. So now we're just going to try and make that a little bit easier for those guys. So the time it takes to build a truck with multiple different companies, you know, we both know taking time out of the business at a certain day, at a certain time, to just get up and then drop your truck off on the other side of the city, for example, and then Uber back is, you know, it's very rare to be able to just get up and walk out like that. So yeah.
It makes sense, mate. Like, well, I just, again, it comes back, and it's no different to me building a luxury home for someone. Like, you leave it to the experts. Like, if you can get a company that just takes care of everything for you, and you can trust them and know that when you come back there that you're going to have a vehicle that just exceeds your expectations. Like, why wouldn't you do that?
Yeah,
like,
we're getting a lot more requests for that, more and more. So they're like, you know, in 4 months or in 6 months' time, we're selling up. We want to leave at this date. and we want it just all done, ready to go.
Yeah.
So
And then you know the whole vehicle. Like I'd imagine doing a canopy, like you're touching 50-60% of the vehicle anyway.
yeah, major transformation. Yeah.
And if you're putting a bar on, like all that's left is wheels, tyres, suspension, and maybe a roof rack. Like
Yeah. So we're not tackling that area ourselves. We're leaving it to the experts in that field.
yeah,
And just teamed up with a couple of different companies to to facilitate that whole process.
yeah.
Right down to vehicle wraps and things like that. So.
Yeah, awesome, mate. I can't wait to see that. Like, it just seems to me like every time I see an Instagram post where you finished a new truck, like they're just getting better and better, and some cool colours, and just I think it's friggin' awesome. But I've also enjoyed seeing. I'm not sure if it's something you do regularly, but I've seen you put out some pretty cool options for tradies.
Yep.
Like I think there was one. I don't know. Maybe it was a more economical setup. I think it might have even just been a bed cover, but when you open the bed cover, like it had a slide on one side with a fridge and a space with, I don't know, like a pantry type thing, but it still gave you half the tray to throw timber or tools or
I actually
whatever.
designed that one for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you
So we had a F-150 coming, and I don't get time to go touring, and so I didn't want to drive around with a canopy on all the time. But I did want to take off for long weekends or weekends, that sort of thing. Take the boy out up to the beach, fishing, whatever. We'd take the family out for a weekend as well. So what I wanted there was a design that I had enough water for the weekend, enough power for the weekend, fridge space, cooking, rooftop tent, lights. So we made sure all of that was in there. But then every other weekend, I could go to Bunnings and still throw stuff in the back. I could throw his pushy in the back. We could throw his sandy stuff in the back and just hose it all out. It was all waterproof. It was all spec'd up. So we do boat loaders on those as well. It's a good weight compromise for those with big vans who don't want a full-size canopy as well. The weight on that is significantly lower than a full-size canopy too. So that works out with people's GVMs and what they want to use it for and how long. So a lot of guys just want to go caravanning for the 6-week school holidays, but then they've still got to drive around in the truck for the rest of the year, and the tub does look good.
I reckon that was a cracking setup. Like it was the best thought out solution that I've ever seen. Like just to be able to have that on one side, still have the whole other half of the tub, but to have your fridge, you had a pantry in that.
It had a storage space. I could put all my plates and everything I needed in there as well.
Yeah, and like you combine that with the rooftop tent or a rooftop rack and that, and like literally there's not a lot you can't do with that. But you mentioned weight a few times because like when we spoke yesterday or the day before, I said to you, like I actually spoke to you on the phone, I think it was 3 or 4 years ago when I was wanting to get a canopy on my, I think it was around the same time Ransom was getting you to do his, and then literally in the time I was talking to you, there was another guy in Melbourne that was selling a full setup F250 ready for touring. He'd done his 2 years touring and was selling it, so I jumped on that and bought that. But the like the truck that I've got now, which I'm due to upgrade it, it's so heavy. Like the canopy on it, mate, is, I don't know, it'd have to weigh 600 or 700 kilos. Like it's a jack off one, and it's a mission to get it on and off. But you guys seem to only put in what you need to put in. It's still really structurally sound and really well built, but you're not putting in unnecessary weight. Yeah,
I mean it's cheaper and more efficient to make all of the aluminium in that canopy out of the same thickness. But what you end up with is these structural parts underneath need to be thicker, and then you continue that through the rest, and you end up with a heavy canopy. So through the design, it's a bit lighter on the roof sheets, and then our structure inside of it is heavy. So we have that structure. The floor structure and everything is quite heavy. So, and then even the way that we do our structure and how that's attached to the rear wall has evolved over time, so that the guys don't have to jig it or measure it at all in fabrication. It all kind of clip blocks together, and then where they're putting the welds, it's putting the least amount of deformation on the rear wall of it, so we sand that off completely flat, so now less sanding.
Yeah.
Even our doors, so I did about probably 3 different versions of the Canopy door over time, and I was able to take about, I think it was 8 kilos and about 6 parts out of the door, but make it stronger.
Yeah.
So
They're definitely the best looking canopies from the outside, like the way you integrate your locking systems and your handles and stuff. Like it dead set just looks like it is part of the car. Like it's something that you've said, it ticked a box at the factory that you want a canopy, and it's put on there and it looks like it's meant to be there.
yeah,
Which you don't see, like you said before, like you don't actually see that a lot with most canopies. But I think another big difference with your stuff is, like you open most canopies, including the one I got at the moment, and it looks like it's all modular. Like it's like we just click a drawer in here and we click a fridge in here, and and so by doing that, there's like a lot of wasted space.
yep.
Whereas
a lot of extra holes and a lot of
yeah,
that's
like your stuff, from what I've seen, I've got a couple of mates that have got yours, and they're next level. Like everything's just so well integrated and neat, and
yep.
there's no wasted space. Everything's thought out. Even your drawers, like just your one bloody touch
Yeah.
drawers.
Yep.
Like
Yeah, that was really good. It's yeah, just through experience and all that sort of stuff. Every time you want to stick something in a drawer, you've got something in your hand, you know. So the locking slides, they're a two-handed action. So we did that straight away, and then also doubles as a, you know, tea-towel holder as well, and you know, yeah, just function and usability and all that sort of stuff is key.
Yeah. So mate, you must be pretty proud of where it's come to. Like what's like a short period of time, and
yeah, you've got to allow yourself to step back every now and then, and yeah, sort of take it in for what it is, so you can have another breath and get back into it.
Do you take the time out to sit back and reflect on it and just appreciate where you like everything you've done?
Yeah, I can't be there for a lot of the handovers anymore with customers, but I do like taking the time to come out and meet them, and you know, getting their initial feedback and stuff like that. You know, there's been a few times where we've got the biggest, burliest block layer, and he's come to pick up his, and we've rolled up the roller door, and you can see his eyes welling up. You know? Those moments is what gets me. And then recently we had our open day. Craig organised all that one. And with that one, yeah, Mayor Tom Tade and Mark Hamill, the local councillor, and that sort of stuff came out, and yeah, so you know, promoting industry in the area and you know, growth as well. That was a really cool moment. Yeah, good to get that sort of recognition as well. So, but realistically now, it's the whole team, and it always has been. You can't get where you're going without the people around you. So that's where our focus is. It's on the team and growing the team personally. You know, and when you grow somebody personally and build, you know, ethic and build character in them as best you can, then you can't lose as a boss.
Yeah, and culture, like create a culture. And I'd imagine with your, like with your business, like I would assume a lot of people that work there would have an interest in four-wheel driving, camping, outdoors. Like
mixed bag. Yeah, mixed bag. So we do get a lot of people who do that. You know, half our street is full of drives. But then too, you know, we've got, you know, people who are mechanics but don't like actually mechanicking. But on the weekend they'll go and fix their own car, you know. Yeah, it's just a real mixed bag. But we look for somebody who just wants to get in and achieve something. And that's the people that we really help grow and stick with. It's been hard as we grow to try and keep in touch of, you know, every single person there and how they're going in their lives and stuff like that. But I still, you know, cruise around and high five everybody and have a bit of a yarn. And
what's your advice, mate, for people out there that are sitting on the fence, maybe hesitating to start their own business or give it a crack themselves?
Be prepared for a lot of hard work. You need discipline. You need a lot of discipline. It doesn't matter what's happening. You've still got to get your foot out of that bed, get up and keep going. And then when you turn up, you've got to be the leader. You've got to be happy. Doesn't matter what's going on in your life. It's about everybody else. Yeah, there's a lot of sacrifice, but at the end, there's a lot of reward too. You know, you have that sense of achievement, you know, you're doing something great. But yeah, it's be prepared for sacrifice. But if you're comfortable being uncomfortable, then you can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's risk equals reward. Like you've got to take anyone that takes risks. Generally, like if they put in the effort, they're consistent. They're as you said, discipline's a massive thing. Like then generally you can push through and do well. Like so, like you're past all that now. Like what's the plans for the future?
We're still looking to go bigger. Yeah, we moved in October. We've already done one expansion already. Our previous factory, we started running the other bull bar company that we acquired in there, and then we were looking at putting, you know, laser impressors in our fabrication shed. And then we worked out pretty quickly that once we do that, we can't grow fabrication anymore, and we can't grow the laser impress side of things. So we swapped that around, built another whole row of fabrication booths. And then we actually just landed our presses and laser in our previous shed this week.
Yeah.
Yep. So we did a little switch around there, expanded our fabrication, and now we have room to expand our laser and press factory as well now too. So
because there's a massive like opportunity for growth, like because it really the American trucks have like they're only just taken off.
Yeah.
Like they're not the last couple of years you're definitely seeing more of them, but if they keep expanding at the rate they are, like the market's huge.
Yeah, there's more and more big manufacturers seeing how big Australia is and how much we like driving all over it and traveling around. There's a lot of amazing sites in the country to see. So, you know, they see that and they see what's been happening over the last, you know, 4, 5, 6 years with the need for these trucks. It's when you're towing a big van, there is nothing safer on the road to tow it with. You could have a 200 series, it could be very well built, but when you go up a big hill with 4.5 ton on the back, the motor is at its limit. Your fuel economy's down, you know, there's just a lot of wear and tear on that. And then even if you have like a 3.5 ton van towing it with an Everest, the van's heavier than the car.
That's what I've never got. Like if you're going to tow a big van, your car should weigh more than what your van weighs.
So now these things, they're cruising around with massive vans on them, pulling, you know, 17, 19 litres per 100. 110 kilometres for those, or 100 kilometres for those is idling. You've got the power there to get yourself out of trouble when you need to, and it feels like you're doing it all in a lounge chair. So, you know, big days of driving, 6, 7, 8 hours of driving doesn't feel like a mission anymore because it's just easy.
And a lot of people have always said the cost is a restriction, but like, look how many people have dual cab 79s. And like if you take the cost of a dual cab cruiser or a 200 series, and then you do your GVM upgrades, you do your suspension upgrades, you do your side mirrors, like you do everything that actually comes standard in an American truck. Like you're spending more money.
What's the saying? You buy a 79, you're just putting a deposit down on the truck you actually want. And then, you get in one of those now compared to the trucks that we're so used to getting into, and it generally feels like a Jimny. You put the seat back so that you can drive it as a driver, and I'm not a big dude. And then you look in the back seat and you've got this much room. So, you know, when your kids start getting older, doing those 6-hour drives all day, it's going to be very fatiguing. You know, these trucks here, you put your seat back, you're comfortable, you're cruising along, you're not getting that fatigue. And then in the back seat, the kids have all the room in the world. You can put, you know, iPads, books, bags, whatever across the front, keep them you know, on the floor in front of them and keep them occupied the whole time. And it is really chalk and cheese when you're talking these trucks against what this country's been used to for a while.
And especially when you get out in the outback. Like we've done a few trips now, or a lot of trips now with, I've only ever had F trucks. I'm a bit of an F truck guy, but Craig's been chewing my ear off that I should get a 550, or I was asking about the 550s, but who knows what'll happen with the next truck. But like you get them out on the rough roads and the corrugations and they just don't feel it. Like they do it with ease.
A good suspension setup and, you know, all that sort of stuff, it really goes a long way.
Yeah.
You know, the factory suspension is really just set up for long highway sort of touring. It's not meant for constant load all the time. It's not meant for, you know, corrugations. Our roads, a lot of the roads that we have is, you might as well be driving on a dirt track anyway. So, yeah, the factory suspension is not really set up for that, and you don't want to be caught somewhere in the middle of nowhere with a failure. So you set it up to do a little bit more than what you think you're going to do, and then you're going to be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, mate, look, I really appreciate your time today, but I definitely appreciate you getting behind the Level Up experience and becoming a major sponsor of the event. How can people find you guys? Like your
predominantly Instagram and our website. So we have a contact form on our website. So the boys get in there, you know, if it's over the weekend or after hours, every morning they're in there replying to emails and stuff. We're very, very responsive. We, you know, customer service has always been high on our priority list. So
your Instagram's offroad underscore, is it? Offroad underscore creative.
Yep. And then our website as well, so you can have a look on there and choose contact, and someone will be giving you a call within 24 hours. So.
Yep. Awesome, mate. Well, like I said, I appreciate your time. Look, guys, if you're out there and you are considering an American truck or a touring setup, or you want to talk to the guys about what sort of setup they can do for your tools or for your trade or whatever the case may be, the guys are going to have a few trucks on display at the Level Up experience. So make sure you come along, check them out, go and say good day to Brad and the rest of the team. I'm really looking forward to what you bring to the show.
Same.
What are you going to have there? 3, 4 vehicles or something?
Yeah, I think we're working on 4. I think we have the space for 4. So we're trying to get a bit of a mix of jobs that we've done. So we're currently, you know, teeing up a few customers that we've done and getting a bit of a mix. So a bit of a tradie one, a bit of a touring one, a bit of more of a weekend warrior type one as well. So
yeah. Well, make sure you come along to the show, guys, and check it out, because seriously, they are leading the game when it comes to canopies in Australia, and who knows, probably around the world. But really appreciate your time, mate. Appreciate you getting behind the event. And guys, look, go to the website, duaynepearce.com. Make sure you get your tickets. They're selling fast for the Level Up experience. We look forward to seeing you there. It will be an unmissable day. If you're interested in business development, personal development, healthy homes, building science, Australia has never seen an event like this. So you've got to be there, and you need a ticket to be there. So go get your tickets. We look forward to seeing you on the next one. And as usual, like, share, subscribe, all those types of things. Go and check out the guys at Offroad Creative, and we'll see you on the next podcast.
Are you ready to build smarter, live better, and enjoy life? Then head over to livelikebuild.com/elevate to get started.
Everything discussed during the Level Up podcast with me, Duayne Pearce, is based solely on my own personal experiences and those experiences of my guests. The information, opinions, and recommendations presented in this podcast are for general information only, and any reliance on the information provided in this podcast is done at your own risk. We recommend that you obtain your own professional advice in respect to the topics discussed during this podcast.